Hello and welcome to the McTaggart Attack podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart. This is episode 21. It is WTF GoT with a question mark. That stands for What the Fuck Game of Thrones? If you can't tell, this episode is about Game of Thrones. It is the third in a 6-part series where I will be giving my thoughts on all 6 episodes in this, the final season of Game of Thrones. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can email me at mctaggartattack@gmail.com. You can also tweet me at KevMcT. You can find me on Facebook. You can find the Facebook page for the McTaggart Attack podcast. And if you like this podcast, if you like all of the podcasts that I do all week, you don't have to like all of them. If there's one that you particularly like, that's fine too. Just rate and subscribe and review. And the better reviews I get, the better play I'll get. I'm just asking, if you like this podcast, let the world know. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, this episode is WTF GOT. What the fuck Game of Thrones? Because it seems like that is just something that I would say a few times each season. And I didn't want to type what the fuck Game of Thrones as the episode title, so I made it WTF GOT. So let's get to it, shall we? This episode was a much anticipated one, especially after the first 2 episodes really just laid the groundwork. Not much happened, but boy, did a lot happen in this episode. This episode certainly made up for all of the death that didn't occur to any major characters in the first episode, in the first 2 episodes. That's for certain. My gosh, what major characters that? I was very upset to see that Jorah Mormont died. But I was happy to see the way that he died. I was happy to see that he died defending the woman that he loved. Though she didn't love him back. But he loved her. That's all that mattered. He did anything for her. He got cured of the dragon scale for her. And he fought all of those undead for her. And died in the process. And once it was all over, it was just sad that, that he was gone. But that was an appropriate way for him to die. Because his entire time on the show had been spent defending her, wanting to fight for her, and he did. She even killed a few people too with the sword, so that was cool. Another one who died was that guy from the Night's Watch, the last one from the Night's Watch, who died defending Sam. Sam just was useless as a fighter. I think he got better as the battle went on, but that one Night's Watch guy tried to defend him, and that did not work out for him. He died defending Sam Tarly, and he didn't even think Sam should have been out there in the first place. So of course he dies because because helping the person that he didn't think should have been fighting in the first place. How fucked up is that? Don't even remember his name. I just call him Last Night Watch guy. Let's see, who else died? Melisandre, the Red Witch, died. Let's get to what she fucking did first. Like, she did a good thing by lighting all of the Dothraki's swords on fire. You know, and then she set the whole ditch on fire. So those were good. But both things ultimately failed. Like, you saw the Dothraki run, charge, lead the charge. They started off and ran into the undead. And then you could see all the flames go out as they got defeated. I thought the Dothraki were supposed to be like the best fighters on the goddamn planet. And they got wiped out in minutes. That was not a good sign for the living at that point, when the Dothraki get wiped out in minutes, even with flaming swords. And then when Melisandre lit up that ditch, that fire pit, it only took the zombies, the dead people, to a few minutes to figure out, hey, we'll just make a dead human bridge. A dead being bridge. They just made themselves a bridge of themselves to get through the fire. Was she helping or hurting? She only did one good thing, and that was resurrect Jon Snow. Who else fucking died? The guy with the eye patch. Turned out his name was Beric. He died. Defending Arya, protecting Arya, making sure that, helping her when she went inside the castle. That was a scary scene. I didn't want Arya to get killed, that's for sure. I will talk more about Arya at the end of this episode. Let's see, who else died? Oh, the little girl, Leanne Mormont. The Mormonts are pretty much done now, I would think, with Jorah and Lillian. But was she like 14 years old? She killed a giant in her last dying act. She killed a fucking giant. What a badass is she? That was pretty cool. And sad that, you know, she died and whatnot. But she was truly a badass from when she started at the end of season 6 to when she died. It was crazy. Yeah. So let's see, what the fuck? Who else died of importance? I think I covered them all. If I didn't, oh well, they weren't that important. Let's see. There were some funny lines, like when Arya gave Sansa the knife and said, attack them with the pointy end. You know, I think that was a callback to earlier season. And then when Sansa and Tyrion were in the crypt, and Sansa tells Tyrion that he was her best husband. Just isn't saying much, considering, you know, Ramsay Bolton was the other one. Wasn't Joffrey technically a husband too? So that was pretty funny. Talk about the crypt. The crypt was supposed to be the safest place. It turned out not to be the safest place. Because why? Because when the Night King brought all the dead people to life, it also brought the dead people to life inside the crypt. So that was fucking scary. Felt bad for all the innocent people down in the crypt, as everybody else is running around, doing stuff. I'll have to let you know, I recorded this. I recorded like almost 18 minutes of review earlier. and it crapped out on me. I don't think it will this time. If it will, I will be really pissed off. Really fucking pissed off if it did. I thought the dragons fighting, that was pretty good from what I could see. I don't have an HD TV, so it wasn't as clear on my TV. But it looked like they were fighting, everyone was fighting in a snowstorm anyway, and it was just hard to see everything. Which made it more intense, because you couldn't figure out what was happening. It was very scary in that case, because it was dark for them, so it was dark for the viewers watching the show. It was insane. And then, the Night King, his dragon got killed, got damaged, so it was just him, and then they blast him with all the fire, and it didn't work. That was probably his finest moment. Oh yeah, Theon Greyjoy, he died too. He died in a great way for his character. I thought the way his character died was very good. He went through a lot of shit, man. And he totally redeemed himself with how he acted this season, how his character was this season. Fighting for Bran, holding off everything, fighting for Bran, apologizing to him, and Bran just being like, look, everything he did led him to that moment. And he did not disappoint. He did the best he could against dead creatures that couldn't be killed in the fucking first place. Against a Night King who's one of the, who was pretty invulnerable for the most part. But there's not many people left that, I would be sad no matter what the fuck happens. I'm pretty sure that Tormund Giantsbane, otherwise known as the Wyndham Wizard, is still alive. I have to think so, because I looked in the articles and it didn't say that he did die. So that was... but they were all fighting, and it was all very intense, and I didn't want any of them to get killed, and it was so scary. And I saw Rich Eisen from the Rich Eisen show mention that it was the most intense 90 minutes of television he's ever seen. And it was, holy shit, I was riveted. It was crazy. It was just so insane. But ultimately, the episode sort of did revolve around Arya, who we should probably call now the Night King Slayer. Right? She's the Night King Slayer now? That should be her nickname. Because she did it. She did it. Holy crap, did she do it. I'm not exactly sure how she ended up in the castle in the first place. Did she try to get something from the castle? I don't know. I'll have to watch it again, but yeah, and then I was afraid for her inside that castle. Thank God the Hound and Beric showed up. And then Beric died protecting her. And then Melisandre said he lived for what he was supposed to do. And what he was supposed to do was protect Arya. So she could go and kill the Night King. That was so fucking awesome. Arya has to be the most badass character of Game of Thrones. I have to think that this entire show is just about her and her maturity and how she's changed and grown up and become the badass motherfucking assassin that we all loved. But her killing the Night King was fantastic. Didn't necessarily have to be Jon. I heard Will Kane of ESPN Radio talk about how he didn't like the episode last night. Fuck you, Will Kane. He hates everything. He makes me miss Skip Bayless. That's how much I don't like Will Kane anymore. I'm not listening to his radio show anymore, or at least for a few days. But yeah, Arya was just fantastic. Oh my gosh. How she just... it was sort of like Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere. Here's Arya out of nowhere, flying in, jumping in to attack the Night King. Then the Night King grabs her, and then she drops the sword to the other hand and stabs him with it, and everyone disintegrates. That apparently was Littlefinger's knife that was originally used to try to kill Bran, and it killed the Night King. Such an awesome episode. I will say this. I've thought before this episode that the best episode in Game of Thrones, hell, the best episode in television ever was Battle of the Bastards from season 6. That was the best episode I've ever seen of any television show. And you can argue with me on this, but you will be wrong. But the Battle of the Bastards still set such a high bar. This episode, which was called The Long Night, by the way, I looked it up, is up there, but it's still not as good as Battle of the Bastards. Alright, I think that's all I have for this episode. Let me know what you think, or, like I said, rate and review the podcast. I'd appreciate it. What's Pissing You Off Wednesday will be on Wednesday. I'm thinking I might do a podcast on Tuesday at some point. I'm not sure, though. Probably not. But maybe I'll do one on Thursday and Friday. I don't know, because I have Wednesday through Friday off, so I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. And maybe I'll just decide to record a few podcast episodes, because I love doing podcasts. Or I just love, I don't know, I just want to make money off my podcast, people. If you can help me make money off my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Trying to think, is there anything else from this episode that I didn't, well, lingering questions into this episode is, what the fuck does Cersei do? I'm worried about that. That war is going to be crazy. Or is it going to be a war at all? I just have a thought in my head that, like, I thought the Golden Army was with Daenerys, but I guess not. Or are they? Will there be a war? That's the question. Just stuff to think about. Because isn't there a guy who Daenerys sent away and he went to the Golden Army? And now the Golden Army's with Cersei? So is the Golden Army actually with Cersei? Or is it? Really makes you think. So many questions. I'm really curious to see what happens in these last 3 episodes. Should be about 4.5 hours of television now left to watch of this great show. Alright, that's all I've got. That's the bottom line. I fucked that up. Actually, I meant to mention this earlier, but my what the fuck Game of Thrones moment. I finally had a what the fuck Game of Thrones moment when the Dothraki showed how terrible they actually were. How they're not good at fighting at all. Overrated. Overrated are the Dothraki. It's just crazy. Alright, and that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking, what the fuck, Game of Thrones?